views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Welcome, everybody. We're about to start our show. Let's talk about sports with Rick and Jack. He's Rick, I'm Jack.
And I don't know Jack, so that's what they tell me every week, but I, for some reason, seem to be very successful at this, so let's go to work.
All right, so what stood out to you this week?
Yeah, great question. I always like to start, with what stood out with us this week. I was really impressed by UFC back on Fight Island last week, and, we've got the UFC going again. And what I was so impressed by was Holly Holm. That lady is 38 years old. She was in the main event last week against somebody who was supposed to be a top contender from Mexico. And Holly Holm just went about just destroying that lady from round 1 through round 5. It was a 5-round bout, but Holly, with her skill, her attention to detail, her striking, unbelievable. Her grappling, I was just so impressed that a 38-year-old woman was still in the ring fighting, that was still in that octagon fighting. And I couldn't believe what kind of shape she's in, how well she's maintained her body.
And her endurance.
Her endurance and the way she put it to this younger woman, I was like, oh my God. And I realized, and I thought about it, this is the lady that started Ronda Rousey's trip down the hill, and for her realizing she didn't want to be in a fight game anymore because these women were tougher and faster than her. Back in the day when she was beating people, they weren't nearly as good as this Holly Holm. And of course, Nunez is still the champ. She's a combination of power and speed, but Holly Holm, man, my hat's off to Holly Holm. That was the major event that I saw this week that touched me and that gave me inspiration. This is a 38-year-old woman, as I said, in the octagon, just kicking ass. The other thing that caught me was, I don't know how many people enjoy street skating, skateboarding. Skateboarding is a fascinating sport to me, and the injuries these guys get and what they do. But the other night I was watching on ESPN, a contest, like top 20 guys who could do the best trick on these rails, over fences, off roofs. Incredible what these guys do with skateboards. And I was so amazed. I sat there in amazement for an hour just watching this contest and how they rated these guys. But unbelievable, the way they skate those rails and how many times they will fail before they get it right. And that was the amazing thing to me. I saw guys take the hardest spills, and I'm saying they're not going to get up.
And they get right up.
And they get right up. And they shake their head and they go again until they get it right. But street skating, if you're not watching it and you're not checking it out, take a minute to check it out. It is fascinating. These are tough kids, and I have a lot of respect. So those are my two major things that hit me this week. It wasn't even about baseball games or basketball games. It was about, Fight Island and Holly Holm and street skateboarders. Awesome people. Great endurance and toughness. You?
I'm gonna have you eat a little crow, but what stood out for me was that little horse racing this weekend.
Oh, the Preakness, the third leg of the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you win?
Let me preface that. On our show last week, you all know that I gave out Swiss Skydiver, ended up 14-1, paid $30.40. The horse won, so I gave you the winner. I hope you bet it. I gave you the winner.
You hope they bet it. Did you bet it?
The problem is I didn't bet it. No.
So how do you
I didn't bet it.
How do you not take your own advice?
Because I'm a stupid gambler. At the last moment, I decided to go with 1,000 words. I don't know why. I gave, as I say, go back and watch the show. I gave it out.
Yes.
But I can say this, but you were smart enough to bet it.
Yes, I did.
And you put a nice bet on it. You made a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, a little bit.
You had a good day.
Yeah. I can paint another room now.
In my circumstances, I lost a lot of money and I didn't eat over the weekend. My poor daughter had to eat chichiri and beans all weekend. But can you believe it? I gave out a 14-1 horse, and it won.
And you didn't pick it.
And I didn't bet it.
Yeah,
so I'll eat crow. I didn't bring the crow in today, but yeah, you all know what.
Well, that was my highlight. My highlight of.
That was your highlight of the weekend.
Yeah.
Seeing me give out everything to America. You bet it, and I don't bet it. Wow. Okay. I stand corrected and dumb. I'm sheepish right now.
So, in the WNBA, we have a new champion.
Yeah, Seattle Storm. Wow.
The fourth championship.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was against our
Las
Aces.
Vegas Aces.
Yeah.
They
Tough. Bad.
they were really in trouble in that series. Seattle put it to them. They didn't get closer than 10 points in any one of the games. I think they lost by 10, 12, and 33 in the championship. I mean, to watch Sue Bird, who's been, what is she, 40 years old now? She's been there for 4 championships, and continues to play great.
Is this a dynasty?
Well, they're tied up with a few other teams like Houston and Los Angeles that have won multiple titles, but Seattle is the real deal. They'll be good again next year, and I mean, Stewart is a beast. They call her Stewie.
Yeah, she.
Brianna Stewart is a beast. Best player in the
And,
NBA. I know we got a good one.
She was actually the MVP. So
Yeah,
which well deserved.
Well deserved. I mean, Asia Wilson was outmatched against her. Brianna Stewart is the real deal in WNBA. Great player. It was a great season for them. They got a lot of their messages to people that are very important to deal with society, and I was very proud of what they did in the bubble. WNBA did a great job. It was a great playoffs, and again, hat off to Seattle. They were awesome, and they'll probably be back next year if they keep that team together. But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. I watched all 3 games. Sports junkie.
Unfortunately, it was only 3 games, because they got basically swept. Unfortunately,
Man, oh, man.
you at least want to win one.
Yeah, Bill Lambier sat there like, my God, I just got my ass kicked. But Vegas, runner-up. Good season.
This team is only 3 years old, so to be in a position right now,
think about this.
finals
The
after 3
second best
years.
player opted out, Cam Beige. So if
What
she's
if-
back next year, they're going to be pretty tough. And they had a couple injuries, and people
Yeah,
will be
and
back.
this-
Somebody had a baby. I mean, so they're going to be back. I think Vegas is a natural contender, and the city's proud of them. The city's very proud
Absolutely.
of the Las Vegas Aces, and like you say, 3rd year in town, and they got a good ball club, and
They're
they're
deep.
built around Asia Wilson, and she's a fine basketball player, so talented. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Let's talk about some baseball.
Whoa.
Baseball playoffs.
What you think?
The teams that we thought were going to be there are there right now. Unfortunately, like the Yankees didn't show up last night like they should. Earlier today, when we were talking about just how the managers are going to they're going to be a big factor in the way the playoffs are going to go right now, especially 5 games in a row.
Yeah. Each series is every game straight. There's no days off, unless you win the series early.
And you have to, but then you also have to manage your pitchers, as you see with Yankees last
It's
night.
what's going to happen.
It was pitching helps, and pitching is a big factor when it comes to winning a championship.
Yeah, the Yankees were funny because I don't think you should be starting a 21-year-old kid who really isn't that experienced. And his lack of experience showed, and they got behind so fast that they never caught up, and then they brought in their bullpen. But, Aaron Boone, they want to have confidence in guys, and this guy, he's, Pedro Martinez is his idol, and, Pedro's going to get him through it. Pedro ain't throwing the ball. That kid's not Pedro, and he's never going to be, believe me.
No.
He's never going to be. Martinez was a special player and competitor and had an incredible arm. This kid is kind of small. Yeah. They say power pitcher, 5'9", but the Yankees in Tampa Bay are going to go back and forth and fight, and there's probably going to be
the 5 games, and then whoever
it's going to
wins
go 5 games, and there's going to be some brawls, and it's a good series. It's a good series. So, man, Tampa's tough, and I saw them last night and watched them, and wow, they really took over that game, and they were striking out some big bangers for the Yankees. Aaron Judge didn't have a good game, and he needs to have good games. So tonight we play again. Again, it's 5 straight games, so something to watch every night.
What are your feelings on Houston?
Well, as we talked about, I said, Houston is the dark horse. A lot of people aren't believing in them, and especially because all the problems they had, and
Problems.
people suspended for the year, and supposedly cheating on filming, stealing signs and all that, and I mean they got a black eye. But the thing about Houston, they are a fine ball club. They have not lost one playoff game, and as I told you, I believe Houston's going to be the team that's going to end up in a World Series. I still believe it's going to be Houston. And I'm like last week, I'm still picking Houston to be the top team in the American League.
I think it's.
I really like that team. I really like that team. Great ball players, but again, people hate them because of the the illegal stuff they did. And I put all that aside. It's a new year. They made the mistake. The guys got fired. They should have been fired. Let's move on, man. I don't watch sports for all the political part of it. I watch it for relaxation, enjoyment, and to make a couple bucks. I didn't win the Preakness.
I thought you were trying to win a couple bucks.
Oh man.
So
it still hurts.
What about the series between with the Braves and Marlins? Who do you?
The Braves are going to win that series easily, and they may sweep it. The Marlins are undermanned. I'm surprised they made the playoffs. Mattingly's a great coach. He's, used his chess pieces well with that team. He's done very, very, very well managing because he's one of the best managers in baseball.
Well,
I think
he's doing a lot with a little.
he is, and they're very impressive. And they won their first series so easily. I just believe that Atlanta is again a fine ball club and could win it all. It's going to end up Dodgers in Atlanta, in my opinion. San Diego is outmatched again. San Diego just doesn't have the players to play with the Dodgers.
That was my dark horse, and I was hoping.
Well, it's early. It's only one game in, but man, I'm telling you, they looked.
Just the way the Dodgers are playing.
They just didn't look good. They didn't look like they wanted to belong, and they felt like they felt real good that they made it to the Dodgers. But I'm telling you, the Dodgers just, San Diego got an early lead last night, 1-0. Dodgers just kept playing. Before you knew it, it was 5-1 Dodgers, the game over. And the Dodgers are prolific. They're a fine ball club. We're going to have 2 championships in L.A. The Lakers and the Dodgers this year. So it's kind of nice. And in the championships, they're going to be close together. So, it brings some life back into L.A., which they really need through this pandemic and these tough times and so many fires. And, sports are really bringing some hope to the Los Angeles fans. And it's kind of nice. But I really believe, and I'll go out on a limb and say it. It's not going out on a limb with the Lakers. That series is about over, and Miami's played well, but that's another subject. But I definitely think the Dodgers win it all this year, and it's going to be Dodgers versus Atlanta, I believe. In the Western Championship, Dodgers beating Atlanta, and then Dodgers versus Houston in the World Series. What you think?
I think as far as in the American League, whoever wins the Rays and Yankees series, they're gonna go to the championship. And then, unfortunately, I hate to agree with you, but the way the Dodgers are playing and the talent they have, you can actually see it playing on the field right now. So,
Dodgers are tough, man. And when Buehler and Kershaw are pitching well, those are victories. Those are almost guaranteed victories.
Almost.
But it's funny. I wanted to get your opinion on this because of so many games, one after another, and you play every day. How you handle your pitchers is going to be the key. You can't throw a guy like you used to. Throw him in game 1 and then throw him in game 3 because there's days off or a rain. Right now, they're playing in cities where it's not raining. And that's why they set it up this way, like L.A. and in Texas. They're going to play every day, and you've got to really manage your pitching staff. Your hitters are going to be fine. They can play every day. But pitchers can't pitch every day.
No.
Not 5 straight days. A reliever can throw 2 in a row, probably not 3 in a row. But, I mean, we'll have to agree the pitching matchup inevitably is going to be correct. And I am not sure that Dave Roberts, and that's the one thing that bothers me about the Dodgers, I'm not sure that Dave Roberts is one of the better managers in baseball. I think that there's some guys that are pretty good out there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you're going to see during these playoffs the managers and how much of an impact they have on their clubs, and you're going to see a lot of decision making being questioned next day. Did he pull his reliever too soon, or did he put his reliever in too soon? The starters, like, how many are they doing pitching counts, or are they doing innings? What is it going to be? Because you're literally pitching 5 days straight. Have a day off if you go to Game 5, obviously, because
if you play 5 straight games, you get a day off, and then you got to play 7 straight games.
So
it's crazy, and again, the team that gets everything wrapped up quickly, the team that can sweep 3 games, they get to rest. They'll get 3 days off. The team that goes 5 games gets 1 day off.
And that's gonna count.
The Astros are about to sweep. They're 2-0 in that series.
Yeah, they can close it out today.
Yeah. Watch out for the Astros. Everybody hates him, but
Well, they have time
I
now
don't really care
they
about
have
all
3
that
three extra days to to watch signals.
to steal signals, watch film.
So Bill O'Brien is out in
Yeah, first coach
in Houston.
fired in the NFL this
So
year after
I
week
was
4.
wrong about that. I thought
Deservedly so.
he is. So my question with you for that is the GM coach / coach hat that he was wearing. Do you think it's a good or bad thing in sports? Because Doc Rivers was the same way,
thing.
same
Yeah,
way, and he ended up getting let go. Do you think it's too much for them?
That's a great question. It's a compelling question because it's debated so often. I am of the belief if I owned a ball club, my GM would never be my manager because I believe the GM job is to be out there looking for ball players, to be looking for trends, to be able to find that trade that's going to help your team. As a manager, you don't have time to do that. You got to be taking care of what's going on in the clubhouse, who's hurt, who's going to play, who's got a sore arm, who's feeling like they're being underappreciated, and you got to call in and talk to. A manager is specific to his players and his players' needs. The GM is specific to finding talent
For the
to bring in,
organization.
to grow that organization, not just for this year, for future years. And I think a manager is too much tunnel vision to be able to do that. And if I owned a ball club, when I own a ball club, that's still, a dream of mine. I absolutely will not have the GM and the manager in the same role. It will not happen. They need to work well together.
Absolutely.
They need to be buddies. They need to have some history. There's going to be, arguments and disagreements between GMs and managers, but that's what's great about it. A manager who's the GM and the manager, who's he have arguments with?
Himself.
Himself.
No,
Who's he disagree with?
Himself.
Like the studio here, John and I are partners. We have disagreements all the time, and he always says he's right, and I say, okay, let's go. But, he's the GM, and I am what I am. I'm on this show. Anyways.
So do you disagree with Parcells saying that if he's cooking in the kitchen, he likes to buy his own groceries?
Another great question. Parcells was a rare person. Highly intelligent, new NFL players. He was able to handle both roles. He did a great job of building those Giants ball clubs and, the Jets and so forth. He's won a Super Bowl. Parcells is a rare entity to any sport. Highly intelligent man. And the greatest thing about him is he got players to buy into his system. So when you got happy ball club and you got happy players and you're winning and you got leaders in that ball club, you can more be a GM. It's a rare entity, and there aren't many Bill Parcells around. And again, I don't validate a GM and manager is the same guy. Because again, when you look in the mirror and are you critical of yourself? Never. You always think you make the right decisions. When you make the wrong decisions, who knows? Until you get fired because you can't win. So absolutely not. Well, again, when I have ownership, you will never, my manager and GM will never be the same person. There'll be two different people who have great minds, who aren't afraid to mix it up a little bit, inevitably win. Just like, and I'll give you an example, in San Francisco. I love John Lynch as the GM. What a great GM. He's built that team. Now they got injuries this year, and that's their problem. But the 49ers became a great team quickly. Great team quickly. But he's the GM. He brings the players. He makes the deals. He makes the trades. He moves up in the draft. He makes that all happen. He doesn't get involved in coaching. He lets his coach.
Yes.
And that's what's great about it. That's a perfect example how it should work. An intelligent ex-football player, an intelligent ex-football player in Lynch, who knows how to run the organization from the GM side and has his coach. And guess what? Having Shanahan as a coach helps.
Absolutely.
Because his father was so good. But Shanahan and Lynch get along perfectly. So, I mean, that's how I see it happening in any sport. It's like in the winning days of Boston. They had a great GM, and they had a great manager, and they won. Now I don't know what they had. Their GM went to Chicago, and Chicago won immediately. And again, you've got to have a great GM that goes out and finds players, finds talent, brings in people in the organization, grows the organization. But you as a manager, you can't do both. As a coach, you can't do both.
Well, you get Did
Did Pat Riley ever coach in GM? He may have in New York.
He did in New York, but then not.
But they didn't win.
They weren't
At
successful.
the Lakers, he was a coach. At Miami, he was the coach. Now he's the president and GM. Hey, and he taught Spoelstra about the game. Homegrown Spoelstra. Well, that is not the most talented team in the NBA. They may be 5th or 6th, but they're in the finals because they got a great GM and a great coach.
So speaking on the Heat right now, do you think it's over for them?
Unfortunately, yes, because the Lakers are beasts when they want to play. When LeBron and Davis take over as they did last night, that was a great game. It was back and forth, nip and tuck all the way. Great. I enjoyed that game so much until the final outcome. That'll come up in a second. Until the final outcome, the final score wasn't pleasing at all. But you all of you who are bettors and bet on the game know what I'm talking about. It wasn't pleasing for the people who bet on
That
the
last
Lakers.
shot.
Oh my God, dude. And let's finish up with Miami is overachievers, great team. It's too bad they lost that game, but the Lakers took it last night. In the last couple minutes, I mean, that game was taken over in 1 minute. The Lakers took it quickly. It was close. The Lakers took it quickly, and that's who they are. And the great teams win at the end. I don't know if you remember all the great teams in the past, like the Lakers and the teams they had with the Kobes and the Magics and the Shaqs. When a game was on the line, they always took it. They always took it. The great teams, Boston, they took it. That's what great teams do, and the Lakers took that game last night. It was there for anybody to take. It could have been 2-2. If you watch that game, it could have gone either way. The Lakers went and took the game last night, and that's a championship team. And I think Miami might get the next game, but the game, it's not going 7. If Miami is lucky enough to get the next game, which they're going to fight hard, they're fighters.
It's sports, so anything can happen.
Well, I don't think so, but
You don't think that they can basically?
I know they can't win 3 in a row.
Game 3, how basically the game that they wanted to play was the game that they played and end up winning that game decisively.
The
You don't
Lakers
think
let
they
them win
can-
one.
they-
The Lakers were lackadaisical that game. Anthony Davis had 15 points. He was in foul trouble the whole game. He even admitted his energy was way down in that game, and he was disappointed in himself. That will not happen again. The Lakers smell the blood in the water, and they're going to go for the kill. This series is over. Miami might get one more game, but it will not go past 6.
So
I think it's over Friday night. The Lakers are your champions.
that's who I
The
want. to win.
Dodgers are your champions. Hooray for LA. They need it. All that problems they got out there. Don't move to LA, folks. It's not the place to live. Over here in Vegas, nice place to live. Beautiful. Air is fresh. People are nice. Well, some of them. But Vegas is a place to live, not LA. But let them have their championships. We know the Raiders won't have one this year. But anyways, we enjoy living in Vegas. Yes, sir. Go on.
So we have a little with Fight Island right now. UFC, when it came to sports, they were the first one to start to really be in full swing. So it's so refreshing now to actually have something going on every Saturday now with Fight Island, having all these wonderful matchups.
Yeah.
Dana White's actually doing a great job when it comes to these matchups and these fights. There, it's granted you're one punch away or one chokehold away from winning.
Yeah, it's a great sport. I enjoy it. Again, I watched it last weekend. It was the first weekend back at Fight Island. They had been in Vegas in the Octagon over here in Vegas for several weeks, but they're back at Fight Island. You got some great matches this week. You had some good ones last week, but it's refreshing. I mean, it's a tough sport. If you can't stand seeing blood, then you shouldn't watch it because it gets pretty bloody at times and very vicious. I enjoy it. The funny thing about it is I was never a UFC fan until we had the pandemic and we were quarantined and we had to stay in the house and I had to watch something. No, seriously. I had to watch some kind of sport because I need my fix. I need my energy. I need my sports. And UFC was convenient for me because Dana White, who was an innovator, one of the sharpest owners and directors of an organization on earth, Dana White is an awesome dude because, he went over there and said, I'm going to get my own island, put $100 million into it, built that place, and it's fantastic. And people love going there to fight. I mean, what do you not like about, Abu Dhabi, Dubai over there? Dubai is a fantastic place. But to go on that island and fight, I wish I could go over there and be a sportscaster or do something and enjoy that city over there because
absolutely.
One of the greatest places in the world. And, man, I mean, what a concept. What a concept.
He didn't wait. That's the
Nah,
thing. Instead
and
of waiting,
Dana White's awesome, and you see our big buildings over here. UFC just keeps growing and keeps going down the freeway. You know, drive down to 215.
in fact, on my way home, I'll see it.
You see it, but Dana White is great. His organization is awesome. They've allowed him to do his thing, and many props to Dana White. That guy is an innovator, a really creative guy, and he believes in what he believes in, and he doesn't. When he has something to say, he doesn't back off, and I like that about him. If it's controversial, he'll say it. He goes with what he believes in. He believes in his fighters.
And he lets them fight.
No.
He lets them, and if they're going to be controversial, they're controversial.
Yeah,
but
and
whatever
he lets them go.
At the end of the day, he wants his players to be able to be just like him, say whatever he wants to, and if there are consequences behind it, oh well. But at least they're able to do and say whatever they want, but in a not necessarily respectful manner, but it's in a business sense. It's not the stuff that they're doing or saying. All it does is it builds anticipation, and you either really like a guy or you really don't like a guy. But either way, they're going in that octagon and duking it out.
I can tell you, it's settled there.
Yes.
All that talking and barking and back and forth and calling other guys all kinds of names and all this stuff.
No.
Guess what? The great thing about that, it's not like a baseball game where, in the octagon, man, it's a mano, you against me, baby.
Yes,
And
all
you
that
want
stuff
to
you were
talk it,
saying.
you want to talk it, you better walk it, bro, or sis. You better talk it, because if you don't walk it, it's going to be trouble.
Yes.
Talk all you want. You can go ahead and better.
Or you get to sleep it off.
And a lot of them, they talk, and it gets them pumped up. But when it's time to walk, a lot of them lay on the ground and get tapped out. So it's fun. I love UFC, and I never thought I'd say that, but I do.
I've been following it since I used to watch it on Spike back in the day.
Yeah.
Just reruns of different fights, and to see the transition over the years, it's crazy to see where it was back then and where it is right now. I couldn't be more pleased. So following all these fighters from way back when, and now seeing them retired and actually being part of the UFC organization, that's incredible. And it's a sport that I like.
It's fun. I do have one problem with it. I can't understand why these heavyweights can't lose weight, and all these guys jiggling bellies and jiggling chest, and why they can't get in shape a little better for these heavyweight fights.
Because it's not.
It's a turnoff to me. I got to tell you, these guys that just sit there and hug each other, belly to belly with those big bellies. They should eliminate the heavyweights. I'm sorry. Get in shape. Get in shape. You're going to be on television. Get in shape.
But in shape doesn't mean that you're an athlete. You can, just because you're not in shape doesn't mean that you can't perform like a athletic. It's
I agree. Talent is talent. Talent is talent, fat or
punch.
skinny.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a lot of baseball players that come to the plate and the belly's hanging over the belt.
Yeah, and they can pitch their butt off.
Yeah, some can pitch, and many of them can hit, and they hit the hell out of the ball. There's a lot of, So, anyways, talent is talent, but that's just my hang up with UFC. Everything else is great. Good job, Dana White.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Anything you wanna tell our viewers?
Yeah, a couple things. I'm looking forward to some golf coming up. U.S. Open's coming up, right? Isn't it coming up soon?
Yeah, in fact,
the Masters.
The Masters.
The Masters. I knew we had a big golf event
go.
coming up in November. Thank you, sir. Yes. What's the date? November 12th through the 15th. That'll be fun. There's a lot of great players, and we'll talk about that more as we go. And also, the other thing that I want to talk about is start looking at your horses and handicapping, because the biggest event of the year is coming up in horse racing, Breeders' Cup. Breeders' Cup is great. You've got all those races of incredible, incredible horses, the best of the year, the best performance, the best trainers, the best jockeys. Breeders' Cup weekend is in Keeneland this year, and I believe that's the 6th and 7th of November. So we got some good stuff coming up to look forward to. And, of course, football. We'll talk more about football on our next show. But football is always fun, and we'll get into that. But football is really heating up, and we'll enjoy that. Thanks for watching. And how about you? How you want to finish today?
I'll just do my normal, give thanks to John, our producer. Thank you, and thank you guys for watching.
Thank you. It's been a great show. We appreciate it, and thank you for having your opinions. We thank you. We always have fun here.
Yeah, I may not be, I'm not always right, but it's not because I'm wrong.
I'm really right, so don't believe it. Go ahead.
All right, so let's wrap it up.
Thanks. We'll see you on the next show next week. Have a great week. Enjoy your sports. Enjoy all the things we've talked about. And hey, if you got a moment, take a look at skateboarding. It's street skateboarding is a lot of fun. God bless. See you next week. Thank you.
And you can catch us on Let's Talk Football with Jack and Rick.
Perfect. Watch us on football. We got